The grand arena of Kezar stretched across 5 miles of crystalline floor, its walls rising so high they seemed to touch the purple sky. Today, it was packed with beings from every corner of the galaxy. Some had scales, others had feathers, and a few were nothing more than clouds of sentient gas contained in mechanical suits. They had all come to watch what the Valdren Confederacy promised would be the greatest humiliation in Galactic Council history. Ambassador Park Ji-woo stood alone in the center of it all. She was a small woman by human standards, barely 5 feet tall, with short black hair and dark eyes that missed nothing. Her simple gray diplomatic uniform looked plain compared to the elaborate robes and armor worn by the other species representatives. She kept her hands clasped behind her back, her face calm, as if she were waiting for a bus rather than facing potential execution. Above her, in the observation decks that circled the arena like rings around a planet, 47 different species whispered and chittered and hummed each other. Some were taking bets. Others were recording everything for their home worlds. A few of the smaller, friendlier species looked genuinely worried for the humans standing below. High Commander Velkash of the Valdren Confederacy descended from his platform on a floating disc. He was massive, nearly 9 feet tall, with crimson scales that gleamed like fresh blood under the arena's lights. His yellow eyes were vertical slits, and when he opened his mouth to speak, rows of needle-sharp teeth glinted. A forked tongue flicked out, tasting the air around Ji-woo. 3 years, Velkash announced, his voice booming across the arena through hidden speakers. 3 years since the humans of Earth joined our Galactic Council. 3 years of lies and deception. Ji-woo said nothing. She simply watched him circle her, like a predator sizing up prey. You claim to be civilized, Velkash continued, his tail swishing behind him with barely contained excitement. You claim to deserve a seat among us. But look at you. No natural armor, no venom glands, no claws or fangs worth mentioning. You are soft, weak, pathetic. A rumble of agreement came from some of the observation decks. The Valdren had allies here, species that resented humanity's quick rise in galactic politics. Your military displays are nothing but theater. Velkash went on. Missiles and ships, yes. Explosions and fire. Very impressive for children. But where is your true strength? Where's the beast that earned you the right to walk among the stars? Every species in this council achieved their position through natural superiority. Every species except you. Ji-woo finally spoke, her voice quiet but clear. Commander Velkash, you seem disappointed that we are not monsters. The Valdren commander stopped circling. He leaned down until his face was inches from hers. She could smell sulfur on his breath, could see her reflection in his slitted eyes. I am disappointed that you are frauds, pretenders, weaklings hiding behind stolen technology, playing at being equals to your betters. The arena erupted. Some species cheered. Others hissed disapproval. The Galactic Council mediator, a floating orb of pure energy, pulsed urgently, trying to restore order. Velkash raised one clawed hand, and silence fell immediately. The Valdren commanded respect through fear, and even species that disliked them knew better than to interrupt. However, Velkash said, a cruel smile spreading across his reptilian face, I am not without mercy. There is an ancient Valdren tradition, older than our civilization's first starship. It is called Trial by Beast. Each party presents their apex predator. The beasts fight. The victor determines truth. I invoke this right before the Galactic Council. The mediator or pulse in distress. Commander, this tradition is barbaric. The Council has moved beyond such. The tradition is enshrined in Council law. Velkash interrupted. Article 47, subsection 12. Any member species may invoke it when accusations of fraud are made. The human ambassador must either accept or admit their deception and withdraw from the Council in disgrace. All eyes turned to Ji-woo. She stood there for a long moment, seemingly lost in thought. Then she tilted her head slightly, a small gesture that somehow made her look amused. You want us to bring an animal to fight yours? She asked. If you have one, Velkash replied. His laugh sounded like stones grinding together. Though I suspect you will bring some tame creature that eats seeds and runs from shadows. Perhaps a cow. Do you even have predators on your soft little world? More laughter from the observation decks. The betting pools updated instantly. No one believed Earth could match whatever the Valdrin would present. Velkash gestured grandly toward the eastern gate of the arena. Immediately, handlers began emerging, massive Valdrin warriors pulling on thick chains. Something was coming. Something big. Behold the Rixtor, Velkash announced. Undefeated champion of Valdrin for 6 centuries. Apex predator of our home world. Slayer of 6 species champions who dared to challenge us in trials past. The creature that emerged made several species in the observation decks physically recoil. It was 12 feet of pure nightmare, covered in scales so black they seemed to absorb light itself. 6 eyes rotated independently on its angular head, scanning everything at once. Its claws left gouges in the crystalline floor with each step. When it opened its mouth, rows of teeth like obsidian daggers were revealed. Then it roared. The sound was not heard, so much as felt. It vibrated through bones and organs. It bypassed ears entirely and spoke directly to the primal fear centers of every brain in the arena. 3 species representatives fainted. 2 more fled the observation decks entirely. Even the Galactic Council mediator dimmed its light in what might have been fear. Ambassador Park Jiwoo watched the Rixtor with the detached interest of someone examining an interesting rock. Her heartbeat never increased. Her breathing remained steady. Well, Velkash demanded, his confidence absolute. Do you concede, human? Or will you waste our time further with your pathetic pretending? Jiwoo was quiet for a long moment. Then she smiled. It was a small expression, barely visible, but it made Velkash's scales ripple with sudden irritation. There was something knowing in that smile, something that suggested she had a secret. I accept your challenge, Jiwoo said calmly. Trial by beast. I will need 1 Earth Standard Day to bring our champion here. The arena exploded with laughter. It rolled through the observation decks like thunder. The betting pools went wild, odds updating faster than most species could track. The final number appeared on every screen. 1,000 to 1 against humanity. Velkash's amusement was obvious. His whole body shook with it. One day, then, little human, bring your champion. We shall all see what pathetic creature you dare to present before the might of Valdrin. Jiwoo pulled a small device from her pocket and typed a brief message. In the human observation box, her aide Kong Min Seo received it. His face went pale as he read the words. His hands trembled as he began making emergency calls to Earth. The message was simple. Bring Project Fenrir, bring Lieutenant Choi, and bring the tennis balls. The next day arrived with a tension that seemed to make the very air of Khazar vibrate. The grand arena was packed beyond its official capacity. Species that had no invitation found ways to sneak in. The observation decks meant for 47 delegations now held representatives from over 90 different worlds. Everyone wanted to witness what they believed would be humanity's final humiliation. The eastern gate opened with a grinding of massive gears. The ground trembled. Not from machinery, but from the weight of what was coming through. The Rixtor entered the arena like a living nightmare. Its scales were so black, they seemed to create shadows around themselves. Each footstep left cracks in the crystalline floor. Its 6 eyes moved independently, each one scanning a different section of the crowd, assessing, cataloging, identifying potential threats and prey. High Commander Velkash walked beside his beast with the pride of a king displaying his greatest treasure. He wore ceremonial armor today, crimson and gold matching his scales. One clawed hand rested casually on the Rixtor's armored flank, a gesture meant to show his complete control over the creature. Behold! Velkash's voice thundered across the arena. Evolution's perfect killing machine. This magnificent creature possesses acid blood that melts through any substance. Its hide deflects energy weapons as if they were mere sunlight, and its telepathic abilities can project fear directly into the mind of any living thing, paralyzing them with terror before it strikes. The Rixtor demonstrated this last ability. A wave of pure, primal fear washed over the observation decks. It was not just an emotion. It was a physical force that made hearts race and breath catch. Several smaller species collapsed. Their biological systems simply shut down in the face of such overwhelming dread. Medical teams had to rush in to revive them. Velkash laughed. This creature has never known defeat. 6 species have challenged Valdrin through trial by beast over our long history. 6 champions entered this arena. None left alive. Their bones are ground into the floor beneath your feet. The crowd's reaction was mixed. The Valdrin supporters roared approval. Species allied with humanity looked worried. The neutral parties simply watched, their various forms of faces unreadable. And now, Velkash continued, gesturing toward the western gate where the humans would enter. We shall see what pathetic creature Earth dares to present. Perhaps a dog? I have read about these animals. They lick their masters' hands and bark at shadows. Very fearsome indeed. Laughter rippled through parts of the crowd. The betting pools had not changed. Still 1,000 to 1 against humanity. Some species had bet their entire planetary treasuries on the Rixthor. It was considered the safest bet in galactic history. The western gate remained closed. Minutes passed. Velkash's amusement grew. Perhaps they have realized their folly. Perhaps they are fleeing even now, their tail between their legs like the dogs they... The gate opened. Ambassador Park Jiwoo walked through. Alone, she wore the same simple gray diplomatic uniform from yesterday. No armor, no weapons. In her hand, she carried only a small datapad. She walked calmly to the center of the arena, her footsteps quiet compared to the Rixthor's earth-shaking tread. Where is your champion, human? Velkash called out, his voice dripping with mockery. Did it get lost on the way? Did it see our Rixthor and run home crying? More laughter from the observation decks. Even some of humanity's allies were beginning to lose hope. Jiwoo checked her datapad calmly, as if reading the morning news. In transit, she said simply. The Rixthor's 6 eyes all focused on her at once. It recognized prey when it saw it. The handlers, reading their beast's body language, released its chains. The thick metal links fell to the floor with a crash that echoed through the arena. The creature began moving toward Jiwoo. Not running. Not yet. It was stalking. Its claws scored deep marks in the crystalline floor with each deliberate step. Its scales shifted through shades of black and dark purple, a color change that Valdrin experts recognized as preparation for a kill. A voice boomed across the arena. It was a Galactic Council mediator, the floating orb of energy, Ambassador Park Jiwoo of Earth. You may concede without penalty under Council law. This trial need not result in... No need. Jiwoo interrupted, still looking at her datapad. Her voice was calm, almost bored. The crowd fell silent. The Rixthor was now only 30 feet away from her. Its 6 eyes had locked onto her completely. Its mouth opened slightly, revealing those obsidian teeth. A drop of its acid blood formed at the corner of his mouth and fell to the floor, where it immediately began melting to the crystal with a hissing sound. 20 feet away now. Jiwoo did not move, did not run, did not even look up from her datapad. Velkash's smile was victorious. He had won. The human would die, and Earth would be expelled from the Council. The Valdrin would cement their position as the true apex species of the galaxy. 10 feet. The Rixthor's muscles tensed. It was preparing to pounce. Its telepathic fear projection began to build, a wave of terror that would freeze the human in place before the killing blow. Jiwoo's datapad chimed softly. She read the message that appeared on the screen. Then she smiled. It was the same small, knowing smile from yesterday, but now it held something else. Something that looked almost like joy. She's here, Jiwoo said simply. The western gate, which had remained open behind her, showed only darkness. The tunnel beyond was unlit. Nothing emerged. Velkash's laughter boomed across the arena. Invisible beasts now? What absurdity is this? What new human deception? From the darkness of the tunnel came a sound. It was low at first, so deep that it was felt in the chest rather than heard with ears. Then it grew. It rose in pitch and volume until it filled the entire arena. A howl. But it was not just any howl. It was layered harmonic, as if 1,000 voices were singing together across vast stretches of time. It spoke of ice ages and dark forests, of hunting under pale moons, of a partnership forged when the world was young and wild. The Rick's Thor stopped mid-stride. Its 6 eyes swiveled away from Jiwoo and focused on the dark tunnel. For the first time in its 6th century existence, the apex predator of Valdrin felt something completely unfamiliar. Uncertainty. Its scales rippled with confusion. Its telepathic sensors, which had always dominated every mind they touched, found something in that darkness that did not respond the way prey should, something that pushed back. The handlers looked at each other in alarm. The Rick's Thor had never stopped a hunt before, never hesitated, never shown anything but absolute confidence. Velkash's smile began to fade. "What trick is this?" he demanded. Jiwoo turned to face the tunnel. "No trick, Commander. Just a very old friend." From the darkness, 2 amber eyes appeared. Then 2 more. Then the rest of the massive head emerged into the light. The crowd gasped. Several species made sounds of fear in their native languages. One entire delegation simply teleported away, because what walked out of that tunnel was something from their nightmares. The howl echoed again to the grand arena, but this time it carried something different. It was not just one voice anymore. It seemed layered, harmonic, as if multiple voices sang together across vast distances of time. Ancient voices, voices that remembered when the world was ice and darkness, and survival meant partnership. Ambassador Park Jiwoo walked calmly from the western gate onto the crystalline arena floor. Her steps were measured, unhurried. She moved like someone taking a morning stroll through a peaceful park, not someone entering a battle arena with a killing machine. The Rick's Thor's 6 eyes had been fixed on the dark tunnel. Try to understand what had made that sound. But when Jiwoo moved into its peripheral vision, all 6 eyes snapped toward her. Here was prey understood. Small, soft, unarmored, easy. The massive creature made a decision. Whatever lurked in the shadows could wait. This human was here, now vulnerable. The Rick's Thor would kill her first, assert its dominance, remind everything watching that it was the apex predator. It charged. 12 feet of armored muscle and primal fury launched itself across the arena floor. Its claws tore gouges in the crystal with each stride. Its mouth opened wide, revealing rows of obsidian teeth designed to tear through anything that lived. The sound it made was like a freight train mixed with a volcanic eruption. The crowd screamed. Even those species allied with humanity cried out in horror. Several jumped to their feet, trying to warn the ambassador, who seemed completely unaware of the death racing toward her. High Commander Velkash smiled. This was it, the moment of victory. The human would be torn apart in seconds, and this ridiculous trial would end with Valdrin's superiority proven once again. Jiwoo did not run. She did not even flinch. She simply stood there, watching the Rick's Thor charge at her with those calm, dark eyes. 20 feet away, the creature's acid blood began dripping from its mouth in anticipation of the kill. Where the drops hit the floor, they sizzled and smoked. 10 feet away, its telepathic fear projection intensified, trying to freeze the human in place with overwhelming terror. 5 feet away, the crowd could no longer watch. Eyes closed, heads turned. No one wanted to see what came next. Jiwoo brought 2 fingers to her lips. She whistled. It was sharp, piercing, clear. The sound cut through the Rick's Thor's roar, through the crowd screams, through everything. It was a simple sound, the kind a human might use to call a pet, but in this moment it carried absolute confidence. The Rick's Thor skidded to a halt so suddenly that its claws left 10-foot gouges in the crystal floor. It stopped less than 3 feet from Jiwoo, its hot breath washing over her, its acid saliva dripping dangerously close to her feet. The creature's 6 eyes showed confusion. Prey did not do this. Prey ran. Prey cowered. Prey begged. Prey did not stand still and make noise as if calling for something. This behavior did not match any pattern in the Rick's Thor's 6 centuries of hunting experience. From the tunnel behind Jiwoo, the response came. Eyes appeared in the darkness. Amber eyes that glowed with an inner light. Eyes that had seen the dawn of human civilization. Eyes that had watched empires rise and fall, while their partnership with humanity remained constant. Then she emerged fully into the light. Lieutenant Choi Soo-jin walked beside Captain with the ease of long familiarity. She wore a simple military uniform, olive green and practical. Her hair was tied back in a ponytail that swayed as she walked. In her left hand, she carried a worn yellow tennis ball, the kind that had clearly been chewed and played with countless times. Her right hand rested gently on Captain's shoulder, not gripping, not controlling, just touching. Captain was magnificent. 850 pounds of dire wolf, her gray-black fur thick and primal. She stood nearly 4 feet at the shoulder, her head massive, her jaws capable of crushing bones that would break steel. But what truly captured attention was her eyes. Amber and intelligent, they held a depth that most species only saw in their own kind. She was not just an animal. She was a person in her own right, a partner, an equal. "Meet Captain," Jiwoo announced, her voice carrying clearly across the shocked silence of the arena. Canis Dirus, the dire wolf. She walked the earth 40,000 years ago, hunting alongside our ancestors when we were still learning to make fire. Extinct for 13,000 years, until we brought her back, not as a weapon, as family. Soo-jin leaned down and whispered something to Captain. The words were too quiet for anyone else to hear, but the wolf's ears flicked toward her, listening. Then Soo-jin straightened and removed her hand from Captain's shoulder. The dire wolf began to move. She did not charge. She did not snarl or show aggression. She simply walked forward with a purposeful, relaxed gait. It was a walk of something that had never known defeat, because the concept of doubt did not exist in her world. It was a walk of a creature that had hunted woolly mammoths and short-faced bears, that had survived when saber-toothed cats and giant ground sloths had failed. The Richter scales rippled through rapid color changes. Its biological instincts were screaming at it. This was wrong. This small creature should not radiate such confidence. Size determined dominance. The Richter was larger, heavier, more heavily armored. It decided to use its greatest weapon, the telepathic fear projection that had never failed. The mental assault that could break the minds of entire armies. The Richter unleashed it at full power, focusing every bit of its psychic strength on the approaching wolf. The wave of pure terror that emanated from it was so intense that the observation decks began emptying. Species that had stayed through the initial demonstration could not withstand this. They fled, teleported, or simply fainted where they stood. Medical teams rushed through the corridors, treating beings who had gone into shock from the peripheral effects of the fear projection. Captain walked through the mental assault as if it were a pleasant summer breeze. Her pace did not change. Her eyes did not widen. Her heartbeat, which some of the more sensitive species could somehow detect, remained absolutely steady. Then she yawned. Her massive jaws opened wide, showing teeth designed by millions of years of evolution to be perfect killing instruments. It was not a gesture of aggression. It was casual, almost bored, as if the Richter's ultimate weapon was mildly tiresome. Velkash's confident expression cracked. "Impossible," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "No creature in the known galaxy can resist the Richter's mental assault. No living thing can ignore it. We have tested this on every species we have encountered. It is absolute." "Wolves don't fear," Jiwoo said, her voice quiet but somehow carrying to every corner of the arena. "They assess, they adapt, and they hunt. Fear is a tool for prey. Captain is not prey. She has never been prey. Her ancestors were not prey. They were partners to the most successful persistence hunters the Earth has ever known." Captain began to circle the Richter. Her movement was fluid, controlled. She was not pacing like a caged animal. She was doing what wolves had done for millions of years. She was assessing her opponent, looking for weaknesses, planning her approach. The Richter attacked first. In the silence of the arena, with all eyes watching, the apex predator of Valdrin made its move. It was a strategic error, but the creature did not know that yet. It lunged with every advantage it possessed. Claws extended, each one sharp enough to slice through reinforced steel. Scales hardened to their maximum density, becoming armor that could deflect energy weapons. Acid blood pumped faster through its system, ready to burn whatever it touched. 6 eyes tracked the target from multiple angles. Muscles that could crush stone contracted and released with explosive power. The attack was perfect. Textbook predatory behavior honed by millions of years of evolution and 600 years of victory. Captain simply was not there. The dire wolf moved like smoke given form. She had read the attack before it came. The Rixthor's muscle contractions, the slight shift in its weight distribution, the direction of its eyes, the angle of its claws. All of it told Captain exactly what was coming, and exactly when. She slipped sideways with minimal movement. The Rixthor's claws passed through empty air where she had been a fraction of a second before. The creature's momentum carried it forward, and it crashed into the crystalline floor with tremendous force. The impact cracked the crystal. Shards flew up, glittering in the arena lights. Lieutenant Choi Soo-jin had moved to stand beside Ambassador Park Ji-woo. Both women watched calmly, as if they were observing a training exercise rather than a fight to the death. Soo-jin's hand rested in her pocket, fingers wrapped around the tennis ball. She was relaxed, breathing steady. A small ambassador from the Quillen species, insect-like with delicate wings, had managed to stay despite the fear projection. It leaned toward the two human women, its translator device humming softly. "How long have you worked with Captain?" it whispered, its voice filled with genuine curiosity and awe. Soo-jin kept her eyes on the fight, but answered, 3 years, since she reached maturity. But my family has worked with wolves for 40,000 years. My grandmother worked with wolves. Her grandmother before her. Back and back, all the way to when we lived in caves and hunted with stone spears. The Quillen's antennae twitched with confusion. 40,000 years? But you have only had civilization for a fraction of that time. Exactly, Ji-woo said softly. We had wolves before we had civilization. Before we had cities or writing or metal. We had partnership. We had family. In the arena, the Rixthor had recovered from its failed attack. It circled Captain now, more cautious. The creature was learning, adapting. It released another wave of telepathic fear, trying again to break the wolf's mind. Captain's ears flicked once, an acknowledgement that she had noticed, nothing more. The fear projection washed over her and dissipated like water off stone. The Rixthor tried a different approach. It used its tail like a whip, striking at Captain from an unexpected angle while feigning with its claws from the front. A two-pronged attack that killed countless opponents. Captain dropped low, her belly almost touching the ground. The tail passed over her head by inches. Then she surged forward, not at the Rixthor's body, but at its legs. She targeted the joints, the places where armor plates met and flexibility required thinner protection. Her jaws closed on the Rixthor's left rear leg, just above the ankle joint. She did not bite down with full force. She did not try to sever the limb. She simply held it, her 850 pounds of weight suddenly anchoring the larger creature. The Rixthor tried to pull free, tried to turn and claw at her, but Captain had positioned herself perfectly. The creature could not reach her without losing its balance, and could not escape without tearing its own leg off. It released acid blood from the targeted leg, trying to burn the wolf's mouth. The caustic liquid dripped onto Captain's fur. She released immediately, backing away before the acid could do real damage. A few patches of fur were singed, smoking slightly, but the skin beneath was unharmed. "She is thinking," the Quillen ambassador whispered in amazement. "The wolf is thinking, planning, not just reacting." "Of course she is," Soo-jin replied. "Captain is not just muscle and instinct. She is intelligent. We bred wolves for intelligence before we bred them for anything else. 40,000 years of selecting the smartest, the most adaptable, the ones who could communicate with us. Intelligence became their greatest weapon. The Rixthor was becoming frustrated. Nothing in its experience had prepared it for this. Prey did not think. Prey did not plan. Prey did not analyze and adapt. This went against everything it knew. It decided to use pure power. The creature charged directly at Captain. No feints, no tricks, just overwhelming force. If it could not outthink the wolf, it would simply crush her. Captain did something unexpected. She charged back. The crowd gasped. Surely the smaller creature would be destroyed in a head-on collision. But Captain did not meet the Rixtor straight on. At the last possible moment, she angled her body and used the arena wall. She ran 3 steps up the vertical surface, using her momentum and the texture of the crystal for grip. The Rixtor, committed to its charge, could not stop or turn fast enough. Captain launched herself on the wall, sailing over the Rixtor's head. As she passed above it, she raked her claws across the creature's back, targeting the seams between armor plates. She drew blood, not the acid kind, but regular blood from the softer tissue. She landed behind the Rixtor, rolled, and was back on her feet in an instant. The crowd erupted in noise. Some species cheered. Others made sounds of disbelief. The betting pools were going wild, odds changing by the second. The Rixtor spun around, roaring in pain and rage. It had been injured. After 600 years of victory, something had drawn its blood. The psychological impact was enormous. She is using the environment, Jiwoo explained to the Quillen ambassador. Wolves are not the strongest predators Earth has produced, not the largest, not the most armored, but they are the smartest. They use terrain. They use pack tactics even when alone. They plan several moves ahead. The Rixtor attacked again, this time with pure rage driving it. No strategy, no planning, just fury. Captain met the attack with absolute calm. She dodged, weaved, used the creature's own momentum against it. When the Rixtor tried to corner her, she slipped through gaps that seemed too small. When it tried to use its superior strength, she targeted its balance. Minutes passed. The Rixtor was tiring. Wounds accumulated. Nothing fatal. Nothing immediately dangerous, but dozens of small cuts in the seams of its armor. Captain had not taken a single serious hit. Su-Jin watched her partner with quiet pride. "We train together every day," she told the Quillen. "But I never control her. I never command. I suggest. I communicate. She decides. That is partnership. That is what makes wolves special. They choose to work with us. They are not servants. They are not tools. They are family." The Rixtor made one final desperate attack. It reared up on its hind legs, preparing to bring its full weight down on the wolf. Acid blood dripped from its mouth. Its 6 eyes blazed with determination. Captain waited, perfectly still, watching. Velkasha's voice shook the arena. It was not the confident boom from before. Now it carried fury, desperation, and something the Valdren High Commander had never felt in his long life. Fear of being wrong. "This proves nothing," he shouted, his crimson scales flashing darker with emotion. "Genetic engineering. Enhancement. Technology. You have twisted nature with your science. This is not a true beast. This is a machine wrapped in fur." Ambassador Park Jiwoo shook her head slowly. She walked calmly toward the center of the arena where Captain sat beside Lieutenant Choi Sejin, the tennis ball now firmly in the dire wolf's mouth. "Captain has enhancements, yes, but only medical ones. Longer life, so she can stay with Lieutenant Choi for many years. Better health, so she does not suffer from the diseases that plague her ancestors. No combat modifications. No enhanced strength. No artificial intelligence. No weapons implanted in her body." Jiwoo pulled out her datapad and projected holographic displays into the air above the arena. Genetic sequences appeared, rotating slowly so all could see. DNA strands labeled and annotated. "These are Captain's complete genetic records." Jiwoo continued. "Any scientist in this arena can verify them. Her muscle density is natural for Canis dirus. Her bone structure is exactly as it was 40,000 years ago. Her brain chemistry is unchanged from her ancient ancestors. The only modifications are medical. We remove genes for cancer, for heart disease, for hip problems that plague her species. We gave her a longer, healthier life. Nothing more." A Quillen scientist in the observation deck immediately began scanning the data with handheld devices. Others joined in. Species that had expertise in genetics, in biology, in organic engineering. They all examined the records Jiwoo had provided. One by one, they confirmed it. No combat enhancements. No artificial improvements to strength or speed or intelligence. Captain was, genetically, exactly what Jiwoo claimed. A dire wolf as nature had designed her, just healthier. Velkash's scales rippled with confusion and anger. Then how? How did she defeat the Rixthor? How did she resist the fear projection? How did she fight with such intelligence? Jiwoo smiled. Because that is what wolves have always been. Commander, you assume that apex predators must be the largest, the strongest, the most heavily armored. But Earth taught us a different lesson. The most successful predators are the smartest, the most adaptable, the ones who work together. She gestured to more holographic displays. These showed ancient images. Humans and wolves hunting together in snowy landscapes. Wolves and humans sharing kills around fires. Wolves sleeping beside human children. Images spanning tens of thousands of years. Dire wolves and humans co-evolved. Jiwoo explained. Not in laboratories. Not with technology. Just through proximity and mutual benefit. 40,000 years ago, we met. Both species were struggling to survive an ice age. Both were smart but vulnerable. So we made a deal. Lieutenant Soo-Jin stood, Captain remaining seated beside her. Soo-Jin spoke now, her voice clear and strong. The wolves taught us how to hunt in packs, how to communicate without words, how to coordinate attacks on prey larger than ourselves. We taught them strategy, planning, how to use terrain and environment. Together, we became greater than either species alone. The holographic displays changed. Now they showed different species. Dogs of every size and shape. Horses running beside humans. Falcons perched on human arms. Dolphins swimming with human divers. Dozens of examples. This is what makes humans different, Jiwoo said. We do not conquer apex predators. We do not dominate them or break them to our will. We befriend them. We form partnerships. Every apex predator that met us either became our enemy and went extinct, or became our family and thrived. She walked slowly around the arena, making eye contact with different species in the observation decks. You asked what makes humans dangerous, Commander Velkash. It is not that we are apex predators ourselves. It is that every apex predator that chose to work with us gained something they never had before. Purpose, partnership, a reason to be more than just a killing machine. The Rixthor, still lie on the arena floor where it had fallen, made a sound, not a roar, something softer. Its 6 eyes were focused on Captain, who was now happily chewing her tennis ball, while Soo-Jin scratched her ears. Velkash looked at his beast, then at the human and her wolf. His worldview was crumbling. Everything the Valdrin believed about strength and dominance and superiority was being challenged by the simple image of a woman playing with a wolf who had just defeated the undefeatable. How? Velkash asked, and this time his voice was quiet, almost humble. How do we earn such loyalty? Such dedication? The Rixthor obeys us because we control it, because we are stronger. But that wolf, she chose to fight for you. How? Jiwoo's expression softened. The same way we did, Commander, 40,000 years of trust, of keeping promises, of treating our partners with respect. It starts with one simple choice. Do you want servants or do you want family? She knelt beside Captain and Soo-Jin. The dire wolf looked at her with those intelligent amber eyes and set down the tennis ball. Jiwoo picked it up and threw it across the arena. Captain bounded after with joy, her tail wagging, completely unconcerned with the thousands of beings watching her. Family is not built in a day, Jiwoo continued. It is built with small acts of kindness repeated over time, with trust earned and given, with respect that flows both ways. Lieutenant Choi does not own Captain. They are partners, equals, family. The Galactic Council mediator, the floating orb of energy, pulsed brightly. The trial is concluded. The human champion has proven victorious. Earth's position in the Council is secured. Does the Valdrin Confederacy accept this outcome? All eyes turned to Velkash. The High Commander stood silent for a long moment, watching his captain return with the tennis ball, and Soo-Jin praised her as Jiwoo joined them, and the 3 beings, 2 human and 1 wolf, simply enjoyed each other's company. Finally, Velkash bowed his head. It was a small gesture, but for a proud Valdrin, it meant everything. I accept the outcome. Earth has proven their worth, and they have taught us something we did not know we needed to learn. The observation decks erupted in discussion, not anger or mockery now, but genuine conversation. Species that had dismissed humanity were reconsidering. Smaller species that had feared the Valdrin were seeing a new possibility. Partnerships instead of hierarchies. Family instead of servants. Over the following hours, as the arena slowly emptied, something remarkable happened. Species after species approached Ambassador Park Ji-woo. They asked questions about partnerships, about trust, about how to build relationships with other beings based on mutual respect rather than dominance. The Quillen ambassador was among the first. "My people have always been prey," it said softly. "We have survived by hiding, by being small and fast. But you offer a different path. Partnership with predators. Could we learn this?" Ji-woo smiled warmly. "Of course. That is what we are here to teach. Humanity did not come to the stars to conquer. We came to make friends, to build family,